A chance to meet the evil queen over dinner. Surely these things only happen in a fairy tale. Or do they? Be afraid. Be very afraid as we tell you all about storybook dining here on Walt Disney World Adults Only. Welcome, Your Highnesses. I'm Dan and you're watching Walt Disney World Adults Only. Today we're going to be talking about one of Walt Disney World's newest character dining experiences. That's right, storybook dining at Artist Point. I'm going to be joined today by Jackie, Carol and Natalie, who will all give you their impressions and experiences of this restaurant. But before we hear from them, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you to click subscribe and then tell me down in the comments below, is this somewhere that you've dined at yourself or is it on your list for a future trip? Please tell me why. So, Storybook Dining at Artist Point is located at Disney's Wilderness Lodge, and this is a truly stunning resort. You can get here either by car, by Disney bus, or by a boat taxi from Disney's Magic Kingdom. The boat taxi is my absolute favourite, and Storybook Dining has replaced the beloved signature fine dining restaurant that was formerly just known as Artist Point. Yes, in December 2018, this signature dining restaurant was reimagined from what was a very adult restaurant to what is now a character dining experience. This did not go down well with everybody, I think it's fair to say. Whilst this is the only restaurant that you can find Grumpy and Dopey at Walt Disney World, Snow White also meets diners at Cinderella's Royal Table and at Akashu's Banquet Hall. But the real star here is the evil queen. In normal times, Snow White, Grumpy and Dopey will come to the diner's table, but not the queen. She sends you an invitation to come to her, and she is perfectly and wickedly in character. This restaurant has been transformed into an enchanted forest. It really does look so great, and it still has some of the ambience of Artist Point, especially with the soft lighting. Of course, this restaurant now attracts families and is much more lively than it once was. And in my own opinion, the quality of food here has suffered as well. I will tell you all about my experience dining here a little bit later, but for now I'll tell you it's a fixed price menu where you get to choose your own entree, but appetizers and desserts are shared. And the drinks menu here is brilliant, particularly the cocktails. And I had one of the best cocktails here of my whole trip. If you're using a Disney dining plan when they're being offered, this restaurant will cost you 1 table service credit per person. And I have to admit that this is really good use of 1 table service credit, just to meet the characters alone. Before COVID, the menu previously had diners beginning their storybook adventure with a hunter's terrine, a mushroom bisque and a wicked shrimp cocktail. Each diner gets 1 of each, but they're very, very small, so please don't panic. Main courses were a selection from Royal Prime Rib Roast, Brothers Grimm Roasted Chicken, Magic Mirror Slow Braised Pork Shank, Cottage Beef Stew, Bashful's Butter Poached Sustainable Fish, or a Stroll Through Nature, featuring asparagus, leeks, rocket and gnocchi. And again for dessert, you got 1 of each. The Poison Apple, a dark chocolate and apple mousse, the Fairy Godmother's Gooseberry Pie, Miner's Treasures, which include a sponge cake, chocolate gems and berry panna cotta, and then the Hunter's Gift to the Queen, maple popcorn and a ganache heart. This restaurant only open for dinner reservations and I don't anticipate that changing in the future. They have some wickedly refreshing cocktails. I had the Enchanted Apple, which I'll tell you about shortly, but you can also get beers, wines and non-alcoholic special drinks here as well. I didn't try the non-alcoholic special drinks. Taylor and Courtney would be mortified. So I think that's all the basics covered. Do you have any questions so far? If you do, pop them in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer them for you. So let's start with Carol. I know she really loves it here.
Yes, Dan. I really enjoy Storybook dining at Artist Point. I had never been there before it became Storybook dining, so I really don't have anything to compare it to. But I thought it was a unique way of serving the food, and I thought the food was quite good. For the appetizers, I thought the mushroom bisque was fabulous. I could have had 3 orders of that. The shrimp was good, a little spicy. I didn't really care for the Hunter's Terrain chicken dish. That was sort of blah, but 2 out of 3 were really, really good. For my meal, I had the pork shank, which fell off the bone and melted in my mouth. Very flavorful, very delicious. My husband had the prime rib and he thought that was fabulous. For dessert, the poison apple was very unique. Okay, it was more unique to look at than to taste, but I really enjoyed, surprisingly, the maple caramel popcorn. I just thought that was such a neat little addition as a nice little sweet snack at the end. Now for drinks, they had some really cool signature drinks. My husband had the Enchanted Apple, which is a vodka-based drink with pucker sour apple and a white cranberry. I had a sip, it was delicious. I went for something a little bolder. I went for the Evil to the Core, and that was a tequila-based drink with some habanero liqueur, I think. Anyways, it spiced it up quite a bit. Some blackberry for sweetness and orange juice to sort of even out the whole thing. So I thought that was really delicious. Now what really sold me on Artist Point was the character interaction. Snow White came and, you get your traditional picture. That was fine. But Grumpy, oh my goodness. Grumpy was grumpy. My husband is always grumpy, so we got a great photo of Grumpy and Grumpy. Dopey was just lovable and huggable, but the evil queen played her part to perfection. So we got a little extra time with the evil queen because of my ears. If you can see, I've got a poison apple and I've got an evil queen on these ears, and she really, really admired them. So she made sure that the photographer took extra pictures of that, and we had more of a conversation than I would say with most people. But when she was done with you, she was done with you. And her expression, her mannerisms were just evil queen to the core. I haven't had a better character interaction except maybe with Chewbacca, but that's just because I love Chewbacca. So Jackie, I think you preferred Artist Point before it became Storybook. Am I correct?
Yes, I've had both experiences here, and I much prefer Artist Point as a signature dining restaurant. I first stayed at Artist Point back in 2018 as a birthday present to myself. This was back when it was a signature dining location, and it was on par with the California Grill. The service was great, my server was awesome, the food was great, and I just love the atmosphere, the really woodsy kind of feel to it. It was actually one of my top restaurants in all of Walt Disney World. As I like to try new places and experiences every time I go to Walt Disney World, I decided to make a reservation for Storybook dining. I mean, come on, it was Artist Point. How could you go wrong? Wow, was I disappointed in my experience at Storybook dining. I was seated at a table for 2. However, there was no good view of the characters or the restaurant, so I felt like I missed out a bit on all the goings on. My servant wasn't great either. It took forever to take my order and just made me feel less than for being on the dining plan. I figured my waiter was just having an off night and maybe the food would be better. I started with the poison apple martini. It was delicious, but not very strong. As Dan has probably mentioned, the appetizers are shared among the table, with each person getting a small serving. My server brought out this tree-shaped serving tray with my appetizers of a small mushroom bisque soup, a small plate with charcuterie bites, and a shrimp cocktail with maybe 2 average-sized shrimp on it. For For the price I was paying, the serving sizes were a bit disappointing. For my entree, I chose the prime rib with the horseradish, mashed potatoes, and carrots, and the popover. However, the potatoes were a little funky. Horseradish and potatoes? I mean, don't get me wrong, I love horseradish, but I'd rather have it as a sauce on the side of the meat. Honestly, my entree was just meh, and I wish I would have tried something else. However, the only true saving grace of storybook dining was the character interactions. Snow White was her sweet self, Dopey was his goofy self, and Grumpy wanted to join me at my table. He was honestly one of the best character interactions I've ever had. For dessert, my waiter brought over this smoking box that had caramel corn and a red chocolate heart, I guess symbolizing the quote-unquote heart of Snow White. Creepy, I know. Wasn't my first choice. There was also a trio of small desserts, a sponge cake with panna cotta, a chocolate apple mousse, and a gooseberry pie. The mousse was odd as it was a combination of dark chocolate, apples, and sour apple center. I wish I could have chosen one full-size dessert out of the three. Once I was done with the bill, my server handed me a laminated card indicating that the queen had summoned to see me. This is where you get your pictures taken with the evil queen. Of course, I smiled. She doesn't scare me. So would I go to Storybook Dining again? Probably not. There are a lot of other places and character meals I haven't been and would like to try. We have found a character meal that you haven't done, Natalie. Can you tell us why not?
Actually, Jackie, there are a few that I haven't tried yet. I have to say though, Storybook Dining is definitely on my list of ones to try. Now, for me, Storybook Dining will be a little bit different. Although I do love my character meals, I tend to go for breakfast. Of course, Storybook Dining is more of a dinner option. Storybook Dining doesn't always get the best reviews, but my opinion may differ. And in true Disney style, I've got to try this at least once. For me, it would be a great overall experience, and that's how I see my character dining, an overall experience. It's not just about the food, although having good food is definitely a very good point. It's the experience overall. Storybook Dining would be extra cool for me, just to see some of the rare characters. Now, I've been lucky enough to see the Evil Queen before, but I've never met any of the Seven Dwarfs. And I've only met Snow White at Cinderella's royal table. Now, having listened to my friends give their opinions on the menu, I've had a look myself to see what I think would be the most appealing. I feel like I should avoid a couple of items, so I think I'm going to be playing it safe and getting the chicken. Or, as in Storybook Dining names, the Brothers Grimm roasted chicken. Now, I did also have a look at their cocktails list, which interested me a little bit more. The one that got my interest the most was the Evil to the Core cocktail, which of course comes with tequila. Now, I feel like Storybook Dining may be a one and done type of experience for me, but I definitely want to try it once. Now, I usually do breakfast for character dining, and this is a little bit more expensive, but then again, that comes with going for dinner. So overall for me, I definitely want to try it.
My experience here was actually really good, and I love meeting the Evil Queen, but the food just didn't do it for me. I would 100% recommend that people dine here. It really is a wonderful experience. I know, Natalie, that you will love it. So I dined here in 2019 on a family trip, and we were all really excited. Kind of because it was new, and because there's no other restaurant where you can meet a villain. It was kind of a hard reservation to get, and I absolutely recommend you get your reservation as soon as they open. They go really fast. On the day of our reservation, I was actually alone in Magic Kingdom, and my family were all at Animal Kingdom Lodge having some pool time. We had arranged to meet in the lobby at Wilderness Lodge, and of course I took the boat across from Magic Kingdom. I met my family in the lobby and we went to go and check in. We were given a pager and I think we waited around 10 minutes. As we entered the restaurant, I stopped to admire the theming and the decoration. It really was just so immersive. We sat down at a large round table and our waiter came over to introduce himself. He was really friendly. He took our drinks orders and then explained how the character interactions worked. From our table we could see the Evil Queen. She was prancing around and swishing her cape in a very evil way indeed. She looked so cool and had such a great backdrop for her photos. Unusually for character dining, there was a photo pass photographer present who was taking photos with the Evil Queen. We were told that she would request our presents when she was ready. I ordered the enchanted apple cocktail. I actually knew what I was going to order before I arrived. No menu was required. It was really delicious. Appetizers arrived, and being a fuss pot, I don't like mushrooms. They are literally the worst thing ever. And I'm not super keen on terrine either. So I was left with a single prawn. Or shrimp, I should say, in the US. Literally, I had a prawn with soy, miso, avocado, Thai chili, and some salad leaves. Now, it was a delicious prawn, but I had a single prawn. The mushroom bisques were served in little cute cauldrons, and luckily for me, my dad and brother were on hand to eat my bisque and my terrine for me. My whole family agreed that the appetizers were really good. Now, when I arrived at the restaurant, I was originally planning to have the prime rib roast for my entree. But as we walked past other tables, I saw it on other diners' plates, and it just looked like a massive piece of fat. So I wasn't up for that one. And actually 2 or 3 members of my family actually had it, and it was really, really fatty. The Yorkshire pudding though was really cool and very British. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Yorkshire pudding anywhere else at Walt Disney World. Anyway, I had the stroll through nature, the gnocchi. What can I say about gnocchi? They are small Italian dumplings made of potato and dusted in semolina. They were nice, but had obviously been sitting under a heat lamp as the sauce had a kind of film. It didn't seem very fresh. Almost mass produced, plated up, and then left under hot lamps. It came with asparagus, leeks, rocket, sage and parmesan. It was tasty and flavourful, but just nothing really very special. On to desserts, and as I mentioned, desserts here are shared. Now, I like sweet things, I have a sweet tooth, but these desserts were overly sweet. It's actually a really good job they give you such a small portion of these, as they're so sweet you couldn't eat too much. I didn't love the desserts here, if I'm being honest, and I really, really wanted to. The poison apple was by far the best of them, but I couldn't find the sour centre. The popcorn and ganache hearts were served in a Snow White heart box, which had some kind of dry ice inside, which dramatically escaped as it was opened. This was really cool, and actually the popcorn was really, really great. This wasn't a rushed meal, and the characters came round multiple times. The highlight of the whole evening was meeting the Evil Queen. She was just fantastic. As I left, I jokingly said, "Bye Maleficent," and she instantly replied, "Wrong fairy tale, you fool." I just thought she was incredible. I'm not chomping at the bit to get back here, but I'm 100% happy that I've had the experience, and I would totally recommend it to anyone visiting Walt Disney World. Right, so you've heard our thoughts and experiences, now it's time to hear yours. Have you dined here? How was it? And if you haven't, would you like to? Please tell us in the comments below. We now have so many videos about dining at Disney, anyone would think that we were gannets. Anyway, we now have a playlist of all of our dining videos put together, and I'll put a link to that playlist right here and also in the description down below.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and also share it with your friends too.
And remember to hit subscribe.
Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when future videos come out.
Finally, if you're not a member of our adult-only Facebook group, head on over there and join today, where we will continue this discussion and many more.
The link is in the description down below.
And in the meantime, remember, never grow up.